In this video, let's have a look at general layout components in a Gatsby website, or I guess really in any website. So where things fit together in terms of, say, having a header at the top, a main section here in the middle, and then a footer at the bottom, and the header then having different components such as a logo in one section of it and a menu in the other. So within our Gatsby setup, we've got our, let's close up these for 1 second. So we've got our components directory here, and I've created a directory here called regions. And this regions directory is what I'm going to use for putting in our footer and our header. And if we had other regions for maybe, I don't know, a hero component or for breadcrumbs or whatever, these could all go in here. So we'll have all our kind of HTML sections, let's call it, within the same directory. The header then, if we have a quick look at it, let's close up the sidebar again. The header, we created a component here called header with a capital H, and then we export it down here. The reason we do this is so that then we can import the header somewhere else. And if we look at, we've got this kind of strange, we might say, looking custom element called header styles. All this is it's using the style components library to create, we can see up here at the top, an header element. So we've created this variable here called header styles, and header styles equals a style dot header. Style here is the property from style components that we're using, and we can see style components is imported at the top of our file. So what this is going to do, it's going to create a header element, and that header element then will have the following CSS: a margin at the bottom of it of 4 rems, and a background color of what our primary color is. So that's all that this is here. This would be the very same as us putting in a header here, except then we wouldn't get the inherited CSS. And using style components, what it means then is that the CSS for this is scoped to this specific component, and it's not going to affect anything else. For example, if we had a header at the top of an article with metadata and things like that about the article in it, that's not going to get affected. And we can see that if we inspect the element here, we can see it's created a header element rather than header styles. Let me make this a small bit bigger. And it's given it a class of header __ header styles and this little hash at the end of it. And that's what's going to make sure then that we don't have a CSS class that's going to leak out into somewhere else. And we don't have to try to come up with class names for ourselves, you know, naming things is hard. And we can see then that we get the margin bottom of 4 rem here, and background color of the whatever our color primary is set to down here, this kind of a nice blue color. Inside the header styles, then we're going to render this div here, which has two kind of utility classes that I'll show you in a few minutes that we created somewhere else. And then it's got a header inner style, so we can check it back here near the top of our file to see what does inner styles mean. And we can see that's here. Header inner styles creates a div, and this div uses Flexbox to lay out its components. And inside that then it renders a logo component, and we can find the logo is up here as well. That is a styled P. To be honest, I'm not sure exactly what to put the logo into. Maybe just a div or something would do either. In this case, mine is just text, it's not an SVG or anything. So that puts in a styled P and small bit of CSS, which changes with a media query at 768 pixels. And then we've said that inside this P, if there's any A tags, and there is one for the title here because it links back to the home page. If we come somewhere else and we can see it links back to the home page, then this is the styling for the CSS for what that link might look like. And that's basically all we've got in the header component. We've got a similar component to this then called footer, and footer is a very simple component. Again, we create a variable for footer, and then we export it here so we can import it later on, and we'll see where that happens. We've got the same layout contained and padding horizontal classes we saw in the header. Paragraph tag here with just some inline CSS just to show that you can write inline CSS, I guess. And then we've got this link to equals /, and we can see that in the header as well. Here that the logo links to /. This link component here comes with Gatsby, and rather than using an A tag, we could use an A tag like this. But if it's an A tag, it considers it kind of an external link and will refresh the full page and recreate everything on the page then when you click on it. So if I was to click on, we'll say speaking here, and I was using the A tag instead of the link component, the whole page would refresh. Whereas when I use the link component, what it does is it just goes and grabs the parts of the page that are going to change. So when I click on blog, the only thing that will change is these cards down here and the text here at the top, because that's all that needs to change on this page. The header and everything remains the same. So we click on blog and you can see, and that allows us to have a very, very fast website. As well as the header and footer, then what kind of brings this all together is a layout component here. So this is in our layout.js, and we can see with this what it's done is we've got global styles as a component. We'll see that in a few minutes, but then it's got the layout container styles. Layout container styles, we can see up here, is a div with flexbox to lay it out, and then the minimum height of 100 VH. This allows us to have a sticky footer for ourselves. You can see the footer remaining down here at the bottom, no matter how much information is on the page. If we were to remove, let's say we remove this, you can see that the header, the footer still sticks to the bottom of the page. Oops, nice. So as well as that, then the layout then renders the header itself, and you can see that it calls in the header here, import the header from regions header, and it imports the footer from regions footer. So what it does is we have the layout container styles here, and inside this div we have the header and we have the footer, and then we've created an element here for a main element, and we're rendering children in here. Children just basically means in this component, I don't know what's actually going to go into it just yet, so it's kind of a wrapper component that something else will go into it. And in our case, the things that will go into it are like the content here for this main page, or the content here of these listings, or the content of an actual blog post or something like that. So children is what's used just to say that in the future, when you use this component, something is going to go into it. And we said that the header has a prop called site title, and we've set site title here to equal the title we have in our site metadata, which you can find in our config file, Gatsby config.js. So site metadata title marquee. So if we change that to marquee site or something, we should see it update over here. So what we have then with this is a general layout component and a header and a footer component, and we've got this global styles. Or this one here is interesting. Global styles uses style components. So we've created a global styles variable here, and we've put it into a directory called styles, and we've called it global styles. We can see that over here, styles, global styles, and all I'm doing with this is putting in all the kind of styling for general HTML elements, or HTML element for our body, H1s and H2s and things like that, and also our variables at the top for different colors and vertical width and breakpoints and things like that. And then near the bottom of this file, I've created a few utility classes that we use on a lot of projects. So one called layout contained, that will give us the width of a component and make sure it's centered. And then if it wants to be larger, or I suppose extra large, or extra large, medium, or small, and then we can drop those classes in where we might need them. I've also got some extra ones down for padding top, padding vertical, padding horizontal, which just gives us extra padding, and same with margin down at the bottom. So any of those kind of global styles or utility classes that are going to be used in more than one place, we can add them all in here into our global styles JS file, and then they'll be available on every page that uses the layout component, and that's probably going to be every page on our website. So once we have the layout JS file created with our global styles here, then the container, then the header, then the main with the children, then the footer, we can check to see this actually working. So if we look at, say, our index.js file that's going to be our home page. So we go to source, pages, index.js. You can see here now that we call the layout component here, which is imported from here, from components layout. We'll ignore the SEO component just for a moment. And then everything that's in here basically is the same as is children, because what we're saying is we don't know what goes in here just yet. And now we hard code in these items. In later videos, we'll see these created as variables for templates for blog posts and speaking engagements, or things like that. But for now, that's our basic orientation of a page in Gatsby.